Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Ango, and in this video, we are going to talk about a ton of wrestling news. But kicking things off, we're going to talk about Mustafa Ali and his controversial gimmick that WWE will not move forward with. So Mustafa Ali tweeted on Twitter, "A few weeks ago, I made a statement that some deemed controversial. My intentions were to bring a beautiful vision to life. Unfortunately, for reasons beyond my control, I won't be able to make that vision a reality, but I can share with you what could have been." Now, it is not shocking to me that WWE has absolutely decided to not move forward with this gimmick, but I do have to make it very clear that this is a very high quality production piece that was uploaded to Twitter, and the promo itself was very, very strong and powerful. Now, I can see why this might be deemed controversial. Obviously, the world, the political climate, everything that is happening in 2021 and moving forward. WWE obviously wants to refrain from doing content like this, but it is a really, really good piece of work. And it kind of sucks that WWE won't move forward with this because I think Mustafa Ali is just such a incredible talent. It's really sad that you see a talent like this just not being used in a way that could be more powerful and more upfront. And I think that's something about Mustafa Ali that WWE has kind of dropped the ball with. They've always had something there with him, and for whatever reason, they just decide to not do anything. And this is the thing about WWE, guys, and I got to be honest here. WWE is so large, and I think that's detrimental to their own product, right? They got to impress shareholders and stockholders and this and that and these people and Mattel and toy makers and belt makers and these people and those people and television people. And there's so many people that WWE has to impress. They can't land themselves in hot water, even if it means doing great television, which I don't like the fact that pro wrestling has gotten to the point where it's different from movies. And what I mean by that is, like, with movies, it could be as controversial, and I don't think there's really limitations to it. I think to a certain extent there could be, but for the most part, you're able to do a lot more with movies. And for some reason, pro wrestling, not just WWE, but AEW and Impact as well, and New Japan, like, they got to draw the line somewhere. And I just think that is detrimental to the product of pro wrestling, because when you start entering these real life gimmicks and real life elements, I think it just produces a better product. Also, in today's video, we got to talk a little bit about NWA. You guys know I am not the most supportive of the NWA, and it's not that I don't like the product or anything like that. I've just learned that there is so much wrestling going on in today's world that it is very hard to keep up with so many of these smaller products, especially when you look at really what they present to the table and the paywall that they're behind. So NWA, for example, you got to pay, for NWA Power and stuff, and you got to pay through Fight TV, and it's just like another service that you got to pay for. I'm just not really interested in that, and it sucks. But NWA basically came out and confirmed December 3rd through the 6th, they're doing their tapings for NWA Power. Then they have Hard Times 2 and a new show. And that right there is something I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. We know that there's going to be a ton of debuts coming to NWA. So I think a lot of the times when a situation like this is brought up, obviously NWA is getting a plethora of talent. Who will actually be coming to NWA? That's the real question. I think we're going to see a lot of people who were part of ROH show up in the National Wrestling Alliance. And I think that is fantastic because more wrestlers need to get more work. Obviously, there's a ton of WWE talent who have been released as well. With all of this talent that's in the free agency, I think NWA could be a viable place for them. The problem is NWA and the way that they do their television is the issue. And I understand that they've been met with hard times. Obviously, they had the whole controversy surrounding their executive producer. Then they had the pandemic come. NWA got screwed, okay? And I totally understand that. I totally see everybody's argument when it comes to that. But also at the same time, too, I think when NWA was on YouTube on Tuesday nights at 6:05 p.m. Eastern, it was perfect. And I really, really do think it was perfect. And that was the time where I was like actually invested in NWA. Now things have changed so much where it's like, okay, I stay in tune with it through social media. I do buy the pay-per-views and I watch the pay-per-views, so I know what's going on, but I'm not truly invested in the product because, again, I have WWE Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Rampage, MLW. I watch AAA and NJPW Strong. So, like, there is a lot of wrestling going on. This is detrimental for the NWA in general, but I'm hoping another show could lead me back into the point where I am just as invested again. And a lot of that comes down to a TV deal, I think, where it's most accessible and the most easiest to watch. And then, of course, the roster and creative decisions. But as time goes on, you just got to give them a chance, because I do think there is an appeal for that old school style of wrestling, studio-based wrestling. It's just really interesting to see what happens next. All right, guys, and for our final story of the day, we're going to talk about Full Gear. It is November 13th, so we are just hours away from Full Gear. Depending on when you're watching this, it's really important to know that there are a ton of things being discussed for Full Gear. AEW has actually been planning for Full Gear for a while, but it is being said that there may have been some changes to the plans of Full Gear. So some of these things that may have been brought up, Masvidal was expected to show up. Now he's injured. His UFC fight for next month is canceled. There are talks of him not showing up anymore. Obviously, plans change there, but also some debuts. So obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Malachi Black and the House of Black. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Chaos showing up in AEW with Okada and Ishii. So now there's this question of who's actually going to show up at AEW Full Gear. Now, of course, I have been talking about it for a really long time that Bray Wyatt could be showing up for Full Gear. Now, because of the movie, there is some discrepancies with that story. Don't know if that's going to be happening. I still think it happens, but there is nothing reported on that. Now, of course, when it comes to reports and the speculation that's coming from, the journalists and the reporters and stuff like that, there's been a lot of talks about Brody King coming into AEW as a member of House of Black. Now, of course, this also was a big topic because of the fact that Malachi Black had even tweeted Brody King and even said that he was the first of the foundation. I think whatever happens, whatever debuts that we see tonight, none of them will impact Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. And I'm hoping that's the case because I fully believe that Kenny Omega is losing the title tonight. And I think after 2 years of building this storyline, you need to stop, move on, go forward with something and totally fresh. And I don't think it would be a good idea for Hangman Page as the ultimate babyface to walk out as the champion only to be interrupted by a heel. However, my only exception to that is what I've stated several videos ago with Bray Wyatt joining the Dark Order, taking out Hangman Page to end the show. That's the only thing I could say that I truthfully believe should be the way to end the show if you're going to have a debut. Other than that, no other debut, no other scenario makes sense in my opinion, because you don't want to take away from the Hangman Page storyline unless you build it. Now, of course, there's been talks of Lana possibly joining AEW. There's a lot of people who I've spoken to, and they told me they think it's going to be a sure thing for her to go to Impact because of the fact that they, specifically don't want to be paired with Miro. Those people I'm speaking to are not insiders, okay? Those are people that I'm just talking to that are like fans. So fans don't believe that CJ Perry is showing up to AEW, but there is a belief that Miro has been making a lot of references to Lana specifically to bring her in, and this might be used as a way to defeat Bryan Danielson. So all in all, you have the potential debuts of ROH wrestlers. Obviously, Bray Wyatt could still be in the mix, maybe even Braun Strowman, but also on top of that, Lana, CJ Perry could be showing up for the Miro match. And then, of course, at some point, you have Okada and Ishii. You have Chaos coming together with the best friends. That's something that AEW keeps teasing. AEW is not going to give that away on pay-per-view, so I don't believe that's going to be the case. But right now, it sounds like Brody King might be the guy that shows up. So ultimately, I'm really excited to see how this ends. I don't know who's going to debut, what's going to happen. There's so much talk, so many things. But the good thing is AEW is planning some big surprises. Some people believe the card is predictable, and that is the reason why. So who do you guys think is walking out of AEW Full Gear as the world champion? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.